Good morning, I'm Craig DeGrelli. It's Thursday, April 3rd, 2025, and these are your Unbiased Updates. President Trump delivers his list of reciprocal tariffs. For most countries, it's about 50% of what they charge on American exports. This morning, we have reaction from Washington, also how the stock market might fare. And a tornado emergency, the Weather Service's highest alert, declared in the South as tornadoes and severe weather roar through places like Kentucky, Arkansas, Indiana, Missouri, and more. How spring storms and warnings are far from over as we make our way toward the weekend.
From the Straight Arrow News Studio, bringing the stories that matter to you from across the United States and around the world, these are today's Unbiased Updates.
President Trump has officially revealed his list of reciprocal tariffs against more than 180 countries and territories across the world. The White House posted charts on social media showing all the places impacted, along with how much the Trump administration says they've charged the U.S. in tariffs, quote, including currency manipulation and trade barriers. In most cases, the new tariffs are about half of what the Trump administration numbers show that each country has charged and is charging us. Lesotho, an enclave of South Africa, will see the highest duties of any place on the list at 50%. Lesotho primarily exports clothing, diamonds, and wool to the U.S. Other examples include China, 34%, the European Union, 20%, Japan, 24%, and so on. Now, the big question is, how will these tariffs affect the economy? This morning, stock futures are down, signaling the Dow and S&P 500 might tumble when trading begins. And as Straight Arrow News Washington correspondent Ray Bogan explains, Democrats are not the only ones seeking answers.
President Trump announced all U.S. imports will have a minimum 10% tariff. There's a lot of talk about how that's going to impact the economy, and Republicans here on Capitol Hill admit they don't know.
Everybody's a little concerned. We all are.
We're in uncharted waters, and no one has any idea what the impact's going to be.
Economists and politicians alike are talking about the best and worst case scenarios. Republicans hope this will lead countries to reduce their tariffs on American products and increase domestic manufacturing.
I think ultimately what happens is you get back down to a free trade agreement, that these countries that are engaged in this disparity, this raw deal for Americans for so long, it'll get their attention and they'll, I think, reduce their tariffs on us. If somebody has 100+ percent tariff on imports of U.S. goods, and we have virtually nothing, why don't we settle that balance?
We've got to get manufacturing back to the country, people back to work. A better way to do that is tariffs. So let's give it a shot and see what happens.
The worst case scenario is supply chains don't really change, and therefore Americans are paying higher prices for those imported products.
So far in his time as president, costs have gone up, and tariffs will simply raise them further.
The tariffs have already had a big impact on the economy. Since February, when President Trump started previewing his tariff plans, U.S. stocks have lost $5 trillion in value. I'm Ray Bogan for Straight Arrow News. For more reporting, download the SAN app.
Meanwhile, a group of Senate Republicans broke with their party to pass a resolution to block President Trump's tariffs on Canadian products. The Senate voted 51-48 in favor of a Democratic-led measure to revoke Trump's Canadian tariffs. Senators Susan Collins of Maine, Rand Paul, and Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, as well as Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, joined all 47 Democrats in supporting the measure.
This is a tax, plain and simple. Taxes should not be enacted by one person. So I will vote today to end the emergency. I will vote today to try to reclaim the power of taxation, the power of the tariff, to where the Constitution designated it should properly be, and that is in Congress.
While the resolution is not expected to go anywhere in the House, it represents a significant break in the Republican Party, even after the president tried to pressure the 4 GOP senators in a post on his Truth Social platform, telling them to get on board the Republican bandwagon and penalize Canada for allowing large amounts of fentanyl to be sold in the U.S. Tornadoes and storms ripped through parts of the South and Midwest Wednesday, killing at least one person and injuring more than a dozen others. The severe weather knocking down power lines and trees, tearing roofs off homes, and sending debris thousands of feet into the air. There were dozens of tornado and severe thunderstorm warnings in Mississippi, Arkansas, Missouri, Indiana, Illinois, and other states. More severe weather is expected in the coming days, with the potential for deadly flash flooding in the South and Midwest as powerful storms head eastward, gaining strength. The National Weather Service warns the storm system is packing a risk of significant life-threatening flash flooding each day through Saturday. A federal judge has dismissed the corruption case against New York Mayor Eric Adams. Judge Dale Ho said dismissing the case was the only practical outcome, but added the Justice Department's rationale for seeking the charges be thrown out was troubling. The Trump administration wanted the case tossed out so the Democratic mayor could help President Donald Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration in New York. The judge also ruled prosecutors cannot refile the charges after the mayoral election coming up in November. He said leaving that door open would, quote, create the unavoidable perception that the mayor's freedom depends on his ability to carry out the immigration enforcement priorities of the administration. There are now talks in New York that Adams might run for re-election as an independent. Former Governor Andrew Cuomo is expected to win the Democratic primary in June. There is a lot more to the story behind the corruption charges against Eric Adams. Straight Arrow News reporter Lauren Taylor has an in-depth look at the legal saga on our website, san.com. Fewer food and drug inspections will be done at the Food and Drug Administration because of layoffs to support staff. That's according to a couple of top officials. Around 170 employees were let go from the FDA's Office of Inspections and Investigation, two unnamed federal officials told CBS News. One official says the Inspections and Investigations Office must now work with the FDA's drug, device, and food centers to determine their workload for the rest of the year. Another official says the agency will need to cut back on routine surveillance inspections for more pressing needs, such as inspections of companies the agency alerted to security risks or follow-up visits to make sure drug manufacturers and food producers address prior violations. The Department of Health and Human Services had said layoffs ordered by HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. involving thousands of employees at the department would not impact FDA inspectors. Finally, the defending world champions of baseball are off to a scorching hot start. The Los Angeles Dodgers are undefeated. So are they unstoppable? Straight Arrow News sports reporter Chris Francis has more on who could challenge the Dodgers as the Major League Baseball season picks up steam.
As of Tuesday, the Los Angeles Dodgers are the first World Series champions to start a season 7-0 since the 1933 Yankees. Quite the accomplishment. Let's take a look at how they're doing it and whether or not this record start is sustainable. Not surprising, with the starting staff they have, they are getting great pitching, even factoring in rookie Roki Sasaki's early struggles. The offense is as expected as well. 6 of their 7 wins have come by 2 runs or more, and they're outscoring opponents 39-18 so far. Newcomer Michael Conforto says there are no weaknesses in the lineup.
You know, when you have good hitter after good hitter, you know, it can be tiresome for the other team. I mean, you know, just constantly, you know, taking some good pitches, some good pitchers' pitches, staying on some fastballs.
Scary to think what things might look like when Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts are fully healthy. Betts already has a walk-off homer this year after losing 20 pounds because of a stomach virus. The record for wins in a single season is 116, held by the 2001 Seattle Mariners, who lost to the Yankees in the American League Championship that year. In other words, it's a long season, and even with overwhelming numbers now, there's no guarantee that will lead to a second straight championship for the Dodgers. In fact, there are several teams who are raising their hands to say, hey, look at us, we're off to a hot start as well, and we'd like to challenge the champs. Chief among them, LA's division rival, the San Diego Padres, who are off to their own 7-0 start, the first in team history. They're outscoring opponents 31-9 and swept the surprisingly winless Atlanta Braves to open the season. Then they took care of the defending AL Central champion Guardians, including a win for Kyle Hart, his first since 2020.
Feels great. I mean, listen, it's a good ball club. Off to a good start, clearly. Playing really good baseball across the board. Pitching, congratulations to Kyle getting his first big league win. Solid 5, doing all phases. The pitching, the bullpen's been great. Situational hitting, defense, base running. Everything's on point.
And they're not the only two teams dialed in to start the year. The Giants, in the same division, are keeping pace. In the American League, the Jays and Rangers lead the way, and the Yankees, with their torpedo bats, have scored an MLB-leading 41 runs in their fast start. Even with their hot start, the Dodgers are clearly not satisfied. Wednesday, they traded for some speed, getting Estieri Ruiz from the A's. Ruiz set the American League rookie record for stolen bases in 2023. For Straight Arrow News, I'm Chris Francis.
And a late-breaking update. Ohtani hit a walk-off home run last night. The Dodgers beat the Braves in dramatic fashion. They are now 8-0, almost right on cue for our broadcast. Those are your unbiased updates for this Thursday. We'll see you back here tomorrow. For all of us here at Straight Arrow News, I'm Craig DeGrelli. Have a great day.